Hello, my name is Kyle Jenkins and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about these things right here. These are neutral density filters and I'm going to explain what they do and when to use them. So let's jump into it. Okay, to start off with, what are they? Neutral density filters are like sunglasses for your cameras. They sort of block out the big light, say there's the sun, it'll block it out, it'll reduce the light coming into your camera. So they're sort of like sunglasses to your camera, and that's how I would treat them. So if you don't want to ramp up your f-stop in a really bright situation and you want to keep that nice bokeh, blurry background, you can do this with a neutral density filter because it'll allow you to leave the aperture really wide open so you can have a nice blurry background. This is just one example of how it can help you, but this is what they are. They're basically sunglasses for your cameras, and you can get them in all sorts of different shapes and sizes for all kinds of lens. You can get one that's like a matte box, you can get ones that's like mine, they screw onto the front, or you can get ones that are like a gradient, so you can have like the top bit where it's like neutral density and then the bottom which is normal and it fades gradually into it, which is good for sunset photography and stuff like that. When to use them? Well, basically you don't want to use them all the time. You only really want to use them in those bright situations when you can't, change your camera settings. So like outside, when it's bright outside, you just want to put one on, don't overdo it, and then it'll create this nice image for you. But the things to watch out for, they can change the colors on your camera, so make sure the ones you get are good, high quality ones, that don't affect your camera colors too much, because some can be really like quite browny, old school film like looking, so others can be nice like orange and tealy colors. So it depends what sort of budget you want to get to help you get the best out of these neutral density filters. The ones I have here, the K&F Concept ones, they're good for the price. They're about £50 each, and I have two of them, one for different types of lenses. So yeah, they're good, but the one thing I'd watch out for on them, they can create a vignette around the outside. So what that means is just these black sort of shadows on the outside. So that's if you really ramp it up though. But in most situations you shouldn't need to ramp it up too much, but that is one thing I would watch out for, is it can create this vignette and it doesn't look that great, and once you notice it you can't unnotice it. So yeah, I would watch out for those. So make sure if you're going to get one, get a good high quality one. Some of the ones you could get is, I've heard that are good, are the Momentum ones. They're quite good. I'll leave some links to them down below, and the Peter McKinnon one obviously, because what can't you do out here in this photography, filmmaking landscape? So they're some of the good ones that are more the higher end budget. You spend like 100, 200 quid on these, but they will help and affect your overall image at the end of it. Especially outside, you want to keep that nice blurry background. This is one way of doing it with an ND filter. Now they can also be helpful in other ways, especially in photography. If you want to take a long exposure shot, but it's very bright outside, you won't be able to ramp that shutter and the aperture. It'll overexpose basically. So what you need then is an ND filter to then to cover up this overexposure, and then allow the camera to hold on to that long exposure to get a nice Krispy Kreme waterfall, or ocean, waves crashing, long exposure. These are great and very helpful, so I would recommend using them for long exposure photography as well as cinematic filmmaking. Do you need them? I'm not too sure that you do need them in the modern day and age. Yes, if you are creating films, cinematic films all day, every day, documentaries where you're running and getting outside, these can be great helps to it. But there's also other ways of going around it. If you really want to cheat a little bit, you could just ramp up the shutter speed until the exposure is correct. Now I know this isn't the correct way of doing it, and it may look a bit off to people who are really looking for it. But if you're just making YouTube videos, vlogs, etc., just ramp it up. I don't think anybody will notice, no one will really care. It's about using what you can to create the story you want to tell, and these are just tools to create better stories. But this technique, by ramping up the shutter, is you don't have to invest in ND filters. You can ramp it up, or if you don't want the blurry background, you could just whack up the aperture, and then everything else will be in focus and you will be. So it's all about your personal preference and how you're trying to tell a story, but I'm just diving into how these can help you out. And I've had them for about 2 years now, and they really have improved my filmmaking capabilities of going out on bright days. You can create better images, especially when I was shooting on the Canon. I had this little one on the front and just run a gun with it. That is really easy. You could take photos with it. You could, it created a better image, I felt, at the end than just a flat profile on a nice bright sunny day. It did add a little filmic element to it. So would I recommend them? Yes, I would. I would recommend them. I'd recommend high quality ones though. I wouldn't bother getting cheap ones or knockoff ones. And they can really improve and help you learn fundamentals of photography and video production with just sunglasses, basically. Sunglasses for your camera. In conclusion, I'd use this for when you're shooting outside, and if you want to keep that nice blurry background, if you want to take nice lovely sunset photos, or if you want to take long exposure photos, these can also be great tools for you as well. And you can get them for £100 or so, and it would help improve your production value, I would say. So yeah, these have been my sort of overall what ND filters do, when to use them, how to use them. If you've got any questions about ND filters, let me know in the comments below. I'd really like to hear from you about your thoughts on ND filters, whether you use them, whether they think they're a load of rubbish, or you think they're the best thing that's ever happened to filmmaking and photography. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you once again for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys coming and spending some time and learning about ND filters with me today. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this information useful, and subscribe if you haven't already for more content like this. So thank you very much for watching. See you on the next video, guys.